Welcome back to the Third Wheel Podcast at night. I'm Caleb, and today we're joined by a very special guest today. Say hello, everybody, to Heather.
Hello, everybody.
Perfect. So she's filling in for Darcy for a couple episodes. So waiting on Darcy to get a schedule change, and we'll get her back in the studio and recording and going crazy, just like always. So good.
Yeah.
How you doing today, Heather?
Doing all right.
Yeah. So how's your wonderful job that you're doing? Are you still miserable?
Yes, I am. I work as a graphic designer at Bleep Bleep Church.
We have a bleep button, but I appreciate the effort here.
Well, now you'll know where to put it.
We don't have to clap.
Right. But it's very underpaid, and I majored in graphic design, and majoring in it has made me realize that I do not want to work in it.
Yeah. See, the church I go to, you've attended once. I won't say the name either, but you were watching their graphics design. You're like, oh my God, who did that? You're like, that's awful. You're just like roasting them as it's playing. I was like, man, somebody worked really hard on that, was very proud. And you're just like, ew.
They weren't proud.
How do you know? They're a first year graphics designer.
Yeah, I'm pretty annoying to take to like family owned restaurants.
Yeah.
So I look at the
Really?
menu and I'm like, why did they choose this font? And you're like, it's probably just their nephew.
I say you could probably help me pick a good font for our shorts, which are really popping off. I don't know if you've ever checked out our YouTube page, but we're almost at 300 subscribers, and we're getting several hundred.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Getting several hundred views a day on per short, and I do 3 a day. So yeah, I'm excited. I think we're doing pretty good. I'm hoping this propels us, forward to the future.
It will.
So, okay, on this show, which you may or may not know, we talk a lot about dating. We talk about online dating. We talk about in-person dating. We talk drama. Neither of us have been married, but we talk trash about marriage advice and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like stuff we probably aren't qualified to talk about, but we have a lot of fun doing.
One of my biggest pet peeves is getting advice from married people when you're single.
Oh, so like what? What parts actually annoy you?
Like when you talk about how rough it is out there in the dating world, and they're like, just put your best foot forward. Just like focus on yourself, and like the right person will just come along. And it's like, okay, well, you met your husband when you were like 24.
I know,
so
right?
I don't want to hear it.
I was in a small group once, and there's this girl who is worried. She was like 19 years old in this group, and she was married, and she was like, and she was telling us a story about how I was just so worried I was gonna be single the rest of my life, and I was like, like you barely graduated high school,
as
like
a teenager.
Shut up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like turning 28 this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How does that feel? In fact, I was
Feels
talking to you.
Old.
Yeah, I was talking to you about almost turning 30, and you were starting to freak out. You were like, is it going to feel different turning 28? And I was like, yeah, you start to wake up to go use the bathroom at night. You start to shake, and you're just looking at me all scared. And I was like, I'm joking, right? Like, I'm still a young man somewhere deep down.
How old are you?
28.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I look older because of the beard.
Yeah.
I look way worse. I look like I've aged quite a bit, but...
I forget because Paul and Darcy are so young, so... I'm like, are you their age? Or
yeah,
my
they're
age?
like half our age.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're super young, but they've actually both kind of been through a lot. It's not just in their marriage, but before that.
Yeah, for sure.
So that they come across older than they actually are.
For sure.
So, but yeah. So online dating. Are you on online dating that much ever? Not now, obviously.
Not
but
now.
Before that.
Be a big red flag if I was right now.
Yeah, for real. Just find a Hinge profile. I know what picture you'd use too.
I will say online dating is like the least viable track for me.
Yeah.
Like if I was single.
Now, how so? Is it because you had too many duds or not enough dates? Like, what was the deal? What was the problem?
For me, particularly, it's really hard to like put my personality out like in the best way for people to like really see who I am over text if I don't know you that well. Like I'm honestly just kind of like a boring texter, if I'm being completely honest.
1 sec. Babe, how do I know this is recording? I don't see the red dot flashing. And it says no card. And I handed you the card earlier. You put it in, right? That's great. Here's Heather's face, guys. If you didn't know before. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. We're going to have plenty on this show because I'm not a camera guy. So, okay. Tell me again, online dating. You said you don't come across the best through because you don't text that much, or what were you saying? I heard it, but for the audience.
You're like, they're not quite there yet.
Yeah, they're behind. They only just now started seeing your face. So.
Yeah. No, I don't know. It's just like really hard for me to like connect with people over text like that.
Yeah.
Like even like my best friends and my family, like our texting is like super minimal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like kind of one of the major components of online dating. Is like you're messaging them for like weeks and weeks before you actually meet them in person. You know, like maybe 1 or 2 weeks. And like for me, it has to be like the opposite, you know?
See, that's my thing. When I was online dating, I was looking for someone who was texting me back and having like a really good back and forth. That's what I was looking for. And you don't really get that unless you just, but if you do run into someone who's texting you a lot, you're not the only one they're texting. You're like, they're texting like a bunch of people at the same time, the same way they're talking to you. And usually I wasn't the one they ended up with after they were like, okay, out of these 6 or 7 people, I'm gonna go with this guy instead.
Right.
So yeah,
they're like paring down their options, and you're like one of the options that's on the chopping block.
Right. Especially, like women, I think, get a lot more messages. They're not always good messages. Like I know people start off with pics of their genitals, like right out the gate. That's their calling card, their first message.
For sure.
But even then, like you know, women get a lot more messages, whereas a guy, you kind of have to work for it and be patient and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. Yeah, I'd say I've had more duds on online dating. It's not so much that I haven't like gone on dates, but it's more so like nobody that interesting. I know we're talking about online dating, and my problem isn't, I know I said this already, but it's not, I keep dating like duds. So like, I don't know. It just like nobody interesting on there. And plus like some of the apps I used aren't being used by people anymore except bots. Like
yeah.
OkCupid, have you heard of that one?
Yeah.
Okay. What were you laughing for?
I just haven't heard that in forever.
It was a legit site. It was a legit app, okay? It wasn't designed to be deleted like Hinge, but
yeah. It's a great slogan.
yeah, and it worked, but it was like I wasn't dating anybody like interesting on it. Like I had a girlfriend for like 3 months, and we just didn't connect. And I realized like, yeah.
I didn't know that.
What do you mean?
You had a whole online dating girlfriend for 3 months?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I made so that's a whole story.
I thought you were like single, pining away for God to send you someone, and then you met Maddie.
That's a good one.
After the crazy ex, obviously. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see. At least you listen. Try your best not to shake the table because it's shaking the camera a bit.
Sorry,
no, you're good. No. First girlfriend, I was 24 years old, which is way too late, in my opinion, to start dating. Can you turn the camera just a little bit this way? Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Way too late. I should have been. Well, we don't need to go into my whole backstory about how like I was like severely overweight and scared to talk to women, but that's how I was till I was 24. And then first girlfriend, really cool. I told you about her. I liked her a lot, and it was going well for about a month, and she broke up with me. And then I started online dating, and I did okay on that. That was about the healthiest I've ever been in my adulthood. I was like 180 pounds of like good looking, no beard, but I still look pretty good. And then so that girl I dated for 3 months. Being hot off the first girlfriend, I jumped into this one. She said yes, and once we got past all the lovey-dovey, we had nothing to talk about. Nothing. And she was 18 years old, and she was mature, but we just weren't connecting. Like when you date someone who's 18, you kind of roll the dice on whether or not they're crazy. And she wasn't crazy, but with that lack of craziness also came a lack of personality, I'd say. So I don't know. Have you dated someone that young before?
I had my first boyfriend when I was 18, actually. So I guess I was the crazy 18-year-old, but he was also 19.
Okay, but say, how old is this guy?
Yeah.
I feel a little concerned.
No, actually, I was 18 and he was 17. Just kidding. I was older. But I met him in my high school English class. So we dated senior year, and then we broke up like 3 days before my 21st birthday. And
so you dated him for a while.
Yeah.
What happened there?
He was just like super controlling and possessive, and it was like my first relationship. Also, growing up Christian and homeschooled, you're not ever really taught, like, especially with like male-female relationship dynamics, you're not really taught about like red flags and like things to look for, and like how to look out for yourself, and like just like how to protect yourself in that regard. So
I
I
don't
was
think
like, this is normal.
I don't think you can really teach that though either. Can you?
I don't know. Like, if someone's like asking you, where are you? Who are you with all the time? And like
Yeah.
calling you multiple times if you like don't text them back right away.
Mm-hmm.
He like made me switch from texting to Facebook Messenger so that he could see when I had read his text.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely red flags. But I mean, what? You were 21? Like, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
he like didn't want me to download Snapchat because he didn't like how the messages are like temporary and you can like keep secrets on there. He was like, I don't like that, and like I just remember this one time.
You trying to make me feel insecure? Babe, those are temporary?
It's a lack of trust, is what it is, and like I remember like I was
Mm.
in TCC, and I had this lab partner who was like a guy who was my friend, also not the best looking guy for the record. If that ever helps.
You say that in hindsight, though. I bet you if you married him, you'd be like, oh my gosh, he's like the best looking guy ever.
He was pretty bald, you know.
Pretty bald, not like completely bald. You didn't commit to it.
He was he was pretty bald for someone that was like, 20 or 21, however old I was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've met a couple of bald 19-year-olds.
Yeah.
It's not their fault, but like if you're gonna be balding, just go for the bald. Just like
Yeah.
shave your head.
He was really hanging on,
I have 5 good hairs left.
He wanted to
I'm
keep
just
all
gonna
5.
tug them. Make sure they're still there.
Yeah, but his name was Saud, and like we were texting about our project or something, or homework, and then he like sent me some funny GIF, and then my boyfriend at the time saw it and was like, "Oh my god, he's like flirting with you," and like literally wanted me to block him because he sent me a GIF, like stuff like that.
So how did you realize those were red flags? Did you have to process it with somebody, or did you just come to that conclusion on your own? How did you actually come to the like, okay, these were things I need to keep a eye on for the future? Does that make sense?
I didn't. I was an idiot, and he broke up with me.
He did?
Yeah. It's
Okay, so what was
sad.
his reason?
I don't know. Our relationship was like pretty miserable towards the end. Like by year 3, it was just like arguing all the time, and like
Mhm.
he would like accuse me of things that I didn't do because he
Yeah.
was just like always jealous, and so I would end up like lying to him because I just didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
So he'd be like, "Did you get to school yet?" And I would just be like, "Yeah, I'm here." "Did you get home yet?" "Yeah, I'm here." Just so I wouldn't have to like deal with him, right? And then like I remember one time I got like caught in one of those lies, and then after that he like blew up,
Mm,
and so the relationship was just always, there was just like always friction. There was always just arguing all the time.
I feel bad for whoever he's dating right now.
Oh, he got married like
Yeah.
6 months after we broke up
Really?
to a girl on Tinder. So I bet
No
her life
way.
is wonderful.
There's no way they're together. I know you check every so often. Do you or don't you?
Maybe like once a year.
Okay.
I'll be like,
Yeah.
are they divorced yet? But
They will
poor
be,
girl
trust me.
probably doesn't have it in her
Yeah.
to leave. So
Well, I mean, I know you're also wondering, like, is she pretty? And you're looking. So is
she's
she?
really not that pretty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, you would say that, because
I mean, objectively,
yeah, objectively, what do you say? Yeah, or no?
objectively, I think I'm a little prettier
Hmm.
if I have to comment.
Yeah,
you
if
know.
I have to say
Obviously,
anything
beauty
about it,
comes from within. Okay, so
it's only skin deep.
yeah.
Yeah.
But he's definitely like also balding now,
Oh.
so
Yeah.
not looking his best.
Yeah. So, okay. But then when did you, I guess, is someone helping you when you were processing stuff? You're that young. You're like, okay, these are actually red flags. Did you have to do that on your own, or did you have to have more bad experiences?
I didn't really tell a lot of my friends like how bad it was.
Mhm.
I like kept it to myself because I didn't want anyone to think that like the relationship wasn't going well,
Yeah.
which I think is like a pretty common thing that people do when they're in a situation like that.
Yeah.
They just like try to make it look like everything's fine,
Mhm.
you know? So there's definitely a lot of that going on. And then it wasn't until like after we broke up, like within the first year, that I was like, man, fuck that guy. You know? And I was like, I feel so much better being
Yeah.
single and like not having to like report to someone and like do all that. And
Okay, that
then-
was pretty bad.
yeah. Eventually I was like, wait, it's not even supposed to be like that.
Yeah. There was a girl I dated. I don't know if I told you about this. She was in her 40s. And
I think you did.
okay, well, our audience has also heard it, but they're gonna hear it again because our audience is growing. They just, some people just met me, right, and they're gonna watch this and hear this for the first time. It was weird though how your eyes lit up when I brought it up. That was kind of weird. I will say that wasn't.
I'm like, I think I remember this story.
But she was. I only thought about this today. I was having breakfast with my mom. We went to a breakfast place, and I forgot about this. But she would go through my phone a lot because she was, and we weren't like
Oh,
serious.
that is such a red flag, bro.
Yeah,
You
and I
should never
knew
feel
that.
the need to go through your partner's phone.
Right. Right. Wait. You say never. You don't think like it's never. You say never justified. I haven't as a guy who's about to be married. I have not gone through my partner's phone because I don't feel the need to, and I trust her. But you say never, right? You say it's never a need.
I think you should never feel the need to do that, you
Okay.
know, because you just trust them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if there's stuff on there that, like, you don't know about, you trust that, like, whatever is on there is okay.
Okay. But what I mean, have you never had a suspicion when you're with somebody? You never been like, nothing, never. You're just that confident.
Maybe I have. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Because you are a pretty confident person on your own. But now I'm kind of curious.
Thanks.
Like, do you just never have that itch of like, you know?
Maybe it's because I dated someone who was so controlling and jealous, who wanted to be in my business all the time, that I'm like, I never want to, like, continue the cycle of abuse and, like, become that person.
Yeah, I agree.
That
with you
I'm
on
like,
that.
I'm never gonna be invasive
Yeah.
in someone's business like that.
Same. I know so many guys who've had that type of girl, and it drives me crazy because I'm usually hanging out with them, and then they're like, "Where you at? Where you at?" There's this one time I went fishing with a buddy of mine at my old job, and we put our boat in the water and we were sailing, and then as we crossed under a bridge, there she was standing on top of the bridge, just like looking at us, and I was like. And I was mad because we had to cut that trip short because she's like, "Where you at? Where why you've been here too long, blah blah blah." And then he's like, "Fine, all right, I'll go." And then he's like sad and he's walking off all slow. And I was like, I think I might jump off a cliff. Like I was like, is that what having being in a relationship is? Like being like
It's
this
so
controlled?
normalized, like,
Yeah.
especially for women, it's so normalized to be this controlling, jealous partner
Yeah.
who doesn't respect your partner's boundaries,
Mhm.
doesn't trust them.
Mm-hmm.
But if you trust them, like, there's no need to, like, be micromanaging their life.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
with my boyfriend currently, like, there's, like, things that he, like, doesn't necessarily mention to me all the time. It's not, like, reporting to me, right? Like, whenever we were, like, first dating, like 2 or 3 months into it, he said that, like, some girl that he had talked to on Bumble, like, 8 months ago, like, reached out to him. But it, like, came up in conversation, like, naturally. I forgot what we were talking about. And I was like, oh, okay. And he said something about, like, how he didn't, like, she was like, how are you? And he's like, didn't respond. I don't know. But it's like, I wasn't like, oh, let me see those texts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because,
absolutely.
like, I trust that however he did handle it was completely fine.
And the fact that he told you is also like a green flag. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even if he hadn't, it's like whatever lives in those messages was never going to be something that I was concerned about, you
Mhm.
know?
That is super healthy. Because I'd at least be curious, not because I think there's something wrong. Like, I mean, Maddie a couple times has been like, hey, so my ex reached out to me today. You know what I mean? But I've never felt like, okay, well, let me see the messages. What y'all talk
Right.
about. But I am kind of curious. I want to see what a sales pitch is.
I think a little bit of curiosity is normal, but
Yeah.
I think what's
Yeah.
not okay is if you're asking, like, why, because it comes from a place of, like, not trusting your partner.
Definitely.
Like, you have to ask yourself, like, why do I want to know so bad?
Yeah.
Is it because I think they're hiding something from me? And if that's why you're asking, you just have to look inward and be like, do I actually trust them?
I was talking with Darcy about it too. I was like, she's been very good about how she's been cheated on several times in relationships.
That's crazy.
And she, for some reason, hasn't carried that into being married to Paul. She's not like, how her past exes have treated her hasn't affected, like, okay, well, now Paul's cheating because he's a guy and all guys are the same. And like,
Yeah, she's like the best person I know at recovering from trauma.
and how
honestly.
do you separate that? Like, I just don't, I don't get it. Like, that'd be hard. I actually have not been cheated on. I've had it close. It was close one time where it was like the day after we broke up, she was talking to another guy. It's not technically cheating, but I was like, dang, that's pretty, like, you moved on pretty quick, I'd say. But
Yeah.
I definitely felt a certain way about it. But never been actually cheated on. But I can't imagine. Like, it's gotta be terrible. Have you been cheated on before?
No, I've only dated. This is only like my third boyfriend, right? I'm like 2 years away from 30. And
That is crazy. I
yeah.
don't think you're qualified to be here.
Right. So I haven't exactly lived a very colorful life in the dating department. The first one was like in high school, bad news. Second one was like after I was single for 5 years, had graduated college, thought I was just going to continue being single and be single forever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I met David. And you can bleep that out.
No, that's pretty funny. Oh yeah, so he's only number 2 out of 3 then, huh?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's
How the
crazy.
heck did you stay single so long?
That I ask myself that every day.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring up some
I
trauma.
was like, what is wrong with me?
Just looks in the mirror. Why?
I'm like, am I ugly?
I don't think so, but just like picks a random spot.
I'm like, maybe I'm on the spectrum and I think I'm normal. And I keep interacting with everyone.
That's a fair thought.
And they're like ignoring me because they're like, oh, she's special needs or something. And I this poor chap is just unaware.
You say poor chap.
Yeah, that's me, the poor chap.
All right. Well, see, the article I had for today's discussion was related to being cheated on and how to spot. This article says 15 telltale signs he's cheating on you, according to cheaters.
Sounds really reliable.
It does, yeah. I mean, you're coming straight from the source here.
Yeah.
And I was worried or a little annoyed because some of these were like, okay, I actually think I would fit into this category.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So I was a little offended. And I'll tell you which one when we get there.
Okay.
So, okay. He's acting differently, but you just can't put your finger on why. Then someone FaceTimes him in the middle of the night and he doesn't have a good explanation. You're right to be alarmed, says the article. Again, written by cheaters, according to sources. So, first, keep an eye out for the very first signs of cheating, such as hiding his phone from you, or more frequent late nights on the job, or out with the guys. See, I do a lot of those. Sometimes I work a little bit later, and sometimes I'm just with the guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, seems fine. But let's get down to it. 15. Emotional signs of cheating. He has unpredictable mood swings. What he said, I was constantly looking for reasons to get away, and it was hard to think of new excuses all the time, so I'd start a fight with her. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
So he starts a fight, and he's like, all right, I'm leaving. Being angry in an instant or being overly nice is a red flag. There's no real reason for him to leave, so he has to create one. New activities, such as him going out all the time but never mentioning it until afterward, is a glaring example. If he was going somewhere else and had no reason to hide it, he would most likely talk about it with you. Okay, so Maddie already knows this. Our wonderful producers over there. I did hide where I was going once because I knew she wouldn't be happy with it. And it was the casino. I went to the casino. We're saving for a house. On that trip, I ended up winning. But on the off chance we lost, I didn't tell her on the spot where I was going. I did tell her after the fact, after I won some money. So I relate to that a bit when he says, like, if he doesn't tell you till after or whatever, like he doesn't tell you where he's going until way after the fact, that's a red flag. It's definitely a red flag for deception, right? You're like, he's definitely like trying to keep it under wraps for some reason. But do you have any thoughts as to that particular point?
If he doesn't tell you where he's going until after he gets back.
Or not at all? Not at all.
Or not at all.
Out. I'm going out, or something like
I
that.
don't know, because it's like it depends on what your communication style is. Like if you guys are texting all day, every day, and you're like, what are you up to? How's this going? And they like just be like, oh, nothing, just chilling, but they're really out somewhere else. Like maybe then it'd be like weird that they're like concealing it from you. But I've definitely like done that before. Because like me and the guy that I'm with currently, like we don't text like all that much. Like we might send each other like a few texts a day. Sometimes our conversation can literally fit in like one screenshot. So like he knows that I have like a lot of friends, right?
Yeah.
And so the weekends are always like, usually I'm pretty busy. I might be going out like to some bars in Dallas with like my college friends.
Yeah.
I might be just like hanging out with some of my friends like one-on-one. Like I might be getting
Or
brunch.
Hopping on a crappy podcast. Like, you just never know.
Yeah. Or just like, yeah, like honestly, he doesn't even know that I'm here doing this podcast.
Sure.
He like invited me to be his +1 to a wedding earlier today. And I was like emailing teachers all day and I still haven't responded to him.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, I hope it wasn't a wedding today.
No.
that I took you away
He was like,
from.
hey, there's a wedding this day. Do you want to be a +1?
I love
And I
your
still haven't
male
responded.
impressions. You always do that. Like that's her impression of me too, by the way, guys. We all have the same voice. Oh, yeah.
It just sounds like Patrick Star. SpongeBob.
So, but yeah. Okay.
So it's like there was one time I was at a wedding rehearsal, which he knew that I was at. And me and the bridal party like all went out afterwards to get tacos and like didn't get home. I didn't get home till like 1:30 in the morning, right?
Mm.
And I had called him earlier just to say hi, and then he called me back while I was busy, and so I was like, all right, I'll call him back on my way home. But then it was really late, so I just didn't call him back. And then the next morning, I was taking a nap, and then he called me at like 2 p.m. and was like, "Are you all right? Like, I didn't hear from you last night after you called me, and I called you back." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just sleeping." And he was like, "Okay, I just know you go out with your friends sometimes. I just wanted to make sure that you made it back okay. I don't know if
Yeah.
you were like out drinking or something like that."
That's unreasonable.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's like
like-
he's not even concerned. Like, you didn't tell me where you were. Blah blah blah. Blah. It's just
Making
like,
sure you're alive.
yeah. So
What a
it's like,
swell dude.
I think it depends on your relationship. Like, are you the type of couple that is telling each other where they are all the time? If you're not, and you're just like, yeah, whatever you're doing, it's fine. Like, let's just, you know, you don't really have to like share all the details about your day all the time.
Yeah, that's fair. It's hard. I think it's hard finding that boundary or that line. I think.
Yeah.
Because like some of these I read and I'm like, that sounds good, but like also, like you said, there could be times where like I just didn't text him back when I got home, so he's making sure I'm okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's hard to find the line or the balance. There was one guy I know, really good friend of mine. We talk all the time. The girl he was with when I met him, she was like, she wouldn't tell him when she was on her way home because she was just so worried that she didn't want him to know so she could potentially catch him in the act. You know what I mean? So if she left work early, she wouldn't tell him so she could surprise him.
That's unhealthy.
And catch him in the act, you know? And he put up with it for a long time. Now, he was living with her, right? So, I mean, it's hard to like, okay, that's it, we're through. Like, it's hard because you're living with her. You need time to move out. She needs to find her own place
That's a whole
and all that
thing.
kind of stuff. Like, it's a lot of work, right? And it's hard.
Yeah.
And then sometimes she would text me, hey, are y'all actually together? Or
Seriously?
yeah, it was bad. I was like, why are you still with this woman? Like, she stresses me out.
That's not healthy.
It takes a lot for someone to stress me out, I'd say.
I just want to say, if you're jealous, you're responsible for your feelings,
Mhm.
and you're responsible for your trust issues. And it's not fair to take that out on your partner if
Right.
they've given you no reason
Right.
to not trust them.
But a lot of guys don't nip that in the butt when it starts. And that's
No.
something else I've noticed is they just kind of put up with it.
Right.
And I don't. Like, I'm not a jerk, but I'd be like, hey, look, chill. You know, like, it's, you know, I don't know. I can tell it comes from a place of insecurity. So I'll say, hey, I know you're being real insecure right now. Can you stop? Like, you know, I don't know. I'm a lot more direct when it comes to that stuff because, like, I don't know, it just ruins the mood, makes me mad, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty good about kind of nipping it in the bud. But so many guys just kind of put up with it and let them do that.
Yeah. It's, again, so normalized. And what was I going to say? You were talking about nipping it in the bud.
Hmm.
I think a lot of people are insecure, like you said. And, like, I don't know, maybe, like, one way that you could try to, like, counteract that behavior would be to, like, do and say things to make them feel really secure. Like, you're so beautiful,
Mhm.
thinking about you, like, love you, like, you're the only girl for me.
Yeah.
Like, if you just really try to meet their needs of verbal affirmation, that could make them feel more secure in the relationship.
I agree. Yeah, it's verbal affirmation. You know, I
Yeah.
think that's a big part of it. That helps
Because sometimes guys are really bad at that.
very
And
much
then the
so.
girl's like, does he even like me? Like,
right.
You know,
And
and
I
they start
agree.
lashing out.
Yeah, I agree with that. So that's a good way to counter it. And I think you have to call them out a bit on it when it's happening. Not that people can't feel insecure at times, and like that's fine. You can help them process their emotions, but the accusatory stuff I can't deal with. I watch a lot of these guys put up with
No.
stuff that I would not put up with. And I don't have to be a jerk about it. You just kind of have to be direct and point it out as it's happening. You know.
Yeah.
So
You should definitely call out that type of behavior and be like, hey, I'm not going to tolerate that.
right, and that's kind of the route I have to go.
And you can also be like, hey, why are you feeling so insecure? Am I not meeting your needs in some way? And that kind of opens the door for them to be like, well, I really wish you would do this more.
Yeah, I hate those conversations because it's usually more stuff I got to do. And I'm
I know.
lazy, but you're right.
People
You're
have
right.
needs.
I know. Darn, not just me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not to say that it's the guy's fault that a girl's being that way.
Right. But there are healthy ways to deal with it. It doesn't mean it's not like a red flag per se. It's definitely something to take note of. It's a yellow flag, and it depends on how bad it is. You might scooting the mic over just a bit. I just realized it's covering your face.
It's okay.
That way. Perfect. Yeah. So it's not like a deal breaker per se, but like if I was constantly being like accused all the time, I won't say this person's name. They don't listen to the show, but he would sit outside his girlfriend's classroom while she's taking classes in college because she wouldn't trust him to be at home while she's
Oh
in
my
class. Yeah,
God.
and he put up with it, and I was like, I think that's a confidence issue. Really, because like bro, you could do so much better. Like I don't get what you're
Yeah.
like. She's pretty for sure, but like there's so many pretty women out there. You could like you're wasting
There
your
really
time here.
are.
And they did break up eventually, and he was the one to break up with her, which is good. He finally got sick of it and realized that it was toxic. But it was like he put up with it so long, and that wasn't the only thing he was doing. Like she was always like accusing him, and same thing with the first example I mentioned. Like just accusing him. How can I trust you? You're cheating. And like I can't put up with that. I can't. And that sounds like what your first relationship was, where he was just like possessive,
Yes, and he was cheated on in his previous one,
I
and
don't-
that was like a big deal for him.
We don't count the previous one because what was he, 16?
Yeah, thank you. I'm like,
Yeah, like come on. Those don't last because usually somebody
she
does
cheated
cheat.
on me the day after I got my driver's license. Like, okay, you're a baby.
Oh my
Like,
God, what a moment. Like
yeah, like,
not the driver. I remember that day like it was yesterday. That was such a
yeah,
I hung it up on the fridge,
yeah.
So number 2, he stopped desiring you sexually.
Mm.
So this is what he said. I started my affair and all I wanted was sex, but not from my wife. She knew something was up because our sex life was always pretty active. A sudden shift in your regular familiar bedroom routine with no accompanying discussion of him wanting or needing something different is a big warning sign of cheating. So basically he's getting what he needs from another woman, so he doesn't need you anymore. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
vice versa. But it's different from when it's a woman because she normally is like, for the most part, doesn't have as high of a sex drive as the man. So it wouldn't so much work on my end being like, oh man, she doesn't sleep with me as much. That's usually how long-term relationships go for the guy. They usually just don't get it as much as they used to. You know what I mean?
Not for me.
Okay, well, you know what? That must be nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Any thoughts on that one? It's hard to speak on that one.
I don't know. Like, so many of these points that they're making are like, can be explained by other things that aren't cheating.
Mm-hmm.
Like if your partner is not as sexually inclined as they usually are, it could be like if they have like depression or something like that could be part of it.
That's true. But this one's pointing out that suddenly out of nowhere things are just different. He doesn't want you at all, as opposed to before things were great, but when he started cheating, he suddenly like doesn't have any interest in sleeping with you because he's getting it from somewhere else. So now he's fine. When he comes home, he's not like grabbing his wife and taking her to the bedroom. Does that make sense? And it's a drastic change kind of overnight as opposed to like gradually where it's like today his depression's flaring up.
Yeah.
He's not feeling it.
Because with depression, it's very like back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll go
Yeah.
through periods of like really, really hard lows and then periods where like they feel totally fine,
Yeah.
So if it's like good, and then it just drops and it's like this just very distinct change, and then it's just like bad, and
Yeah.
it's not like an up and down thing that fluctuates, then like, yeah, maybe that's something to be concerned about.
Like take note. Like, okay, he wanted me yesterday. And I know that was yesterday, but like, he doesn't want me at all. That's something to like take note of. Not so much a deal breaker per se, but it's
Yeah.
like something to take note of. It's a sign that something else is going on.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
definitely something to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm. Number 3, he seems detached. He seems to be dreamy or simply shut down. If he suddenly stopped talking as much as usual, that's a red flag of something being wrong, even if it's not cheating. So, and this is a smaller example, but if I get upset in the moment, I shut down. I just kind of like sit there grumpy and don't want to talk, and I get
Such a
real short.
guy.
Like women don't do the same thing.
Every guy I've dated does the exact same thing. Like I'm like, okay, let's talk about this. Like let's just communicate our feelings. Like very exactly in that tone. Very not coming on aggressive or hostile. And they're just like so quiet, so silent, so
Let's
moody.
see. That's different because you want to actually get to the meat of what's. Are you talking about getting to what's
Yeah.
wrong?
I'm like, why are we shying away from it? Just like use your brain and talk about it.
Okay, yes, that's different because we don't want to talk about our feelings. But I'm talking about like before we get to that point, we shut down, and I'm like, I just, I get real short when I'm mad. Like, I'll sit there and, people are talking, having fun, and I'm just like, you know, because I'm mad and I shut down. You know me, I'm normally like trying to be funny, and I'm joking and I'm being outgoing, but when I'm mad, I kind of just like just sit there and be quiet. That's what he's referring to. So it's saying like if he's like that, if he suddenly stopped talking as much as usual, it's a red flag of something being wrong. I think it's similar to number 2 where it says like he doesn't want you sexually as much as he wanted to. Same thing if like personality. This is remember in the category of emotional cheating. So he's not engaging with you and he's shut down when it comes to you and him time. As opposed to before when he was like very outgoing and he was talking to you a lot and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So emotionally, like he doesn't engage with you the way he used to. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know? And I know things fizzle out over time where it's like, you know, the way me and Maddie talk to each other is very different from when it started, when we were first starting to get to know each other. It's like, oh, you like this? I like that too. You know, that's different.
It's kind of performative in the beginning.
But we still have very much like long conversations about our day and about like stuff that happened and all that kind of, you know, all that stuff. Okay, yeah. So if that suddenly stops, then like that's okay. There's something wrong. Maybe she's not cheating, right? But it's like okay, there's something wrong. She's mad or
she's
whatever.
Mad at you. You did something.
Yeah, and that's usually what it is.
I think because the thing about relationships is like trust is such a cornerstone of relationships that it's like to even consider that your partner is cheating is like a huge red flag in itself because it means you don't trust them. So it's like if this is someone that you trust and they're doing things like they're not communicating, they're not as sexually active, like my brain is going to go to a million other things before I think that they're cheating.
See,
because I know that they're not that type of person.
You're a rare breed though, because most women aren't like that. You know what I mean? Because a lot of women, their first thing they jump to is maybe not cheating, but they'll jump to like, oh my gosh, she doesn't love me anymore. So women are that dramatic. You know what I mean? So it's interesting hearing it.
Dramatic,
yeah, but I don't ever see that side of you that much. We kind of hang out at least like once a week. We see each other around that time. I don't get any like vibes like that from you, but I'm sure you're human. You have those that comes up. Yeah. It comes up. Right, but I haven't seen it, so I'm like sitting here, like you're like, yeah, no, it's more so my fault. If I don't trust him, it's not because he's doing anything shady. It's my fault. Like,
and that's not to say it's like you should always like be like victim blaming, like, well, you should have chosen someone that you trust. Like some people, it is hard to know, like especially if you get into a relationship with someone that you really don't know that well. It's like, how much do I trust them?
Right. I want to say, quick sidebar. This beer went straight through me. Like I am a little bit foggy now because I haven't had a beer in like 2 months and I've been dieting. And that first beer just really, I tasted, it's a Blue Moon.
Yeah.
So I tasted the orange like immediately. And now I am like, I'm not tipsy, but I feel like 2 more beers in and I'm
your questions like stop making sense.
Number 4. Yes. So yeah. Number 4, he asked for more connection. I'm confused on. Okay, whoa, that made sense to you immediately.
No, I was just like,
Yeah, okay, cool.
I was just digesting that.
It sounded like you kind of like had
I was
like
digesting it like you were digesting the beer.
Oh, my wonderful producer is bringing me another one. Oh, thank you.
Oh wait, can I have another? Oh, you're the best.
Yeah, she's on it, dude. She just like knows what's up. That's what I say.
Producer / barmaid.
I realized this from like 2 dates in that we're basically soulmates. She can read my mind. Right?
I love that for you.
Yeah, I know. Right.
Not everyone has that experience. Sometimes you're like, oh my God, this person's so annoying.
What are you doing? Turn that beer around. You got the logo in there.
Oh my God, sorry.
YouTube's going to demonetize this. We're screwed. Our channel's gone. Cut.
Can you censor it?
Yeah. All right, Shaps, you hear that? She asked you to censor it. Please do. So, I lucked out. Absolutely. So, I'm not repping it in, I promise. Like,
yeah.
It's hard.
It's rough out there.
I'm almost 30. I had to wait a long time for her to come around. Yeah. So, number 4, he asked for more connection, and then you went immediately with.
I just think that's interesting because that's not like I have a friend who was married for like 4 years and she got cheated on and they got divorced. And
so what was his justification, or was it her?
I really wasn't like privy to a lot of it. She kept it kind of secret from everyone, like all the problems in the relationship. But I know, like, towards the end, he would be, like, super irritable, super, like, disrespectful to her all the time. Like, she would, like, ask him something simple, like, you know, like, what do you want for dinner or something like that? And he'd give her some, like, blow-off response. Yeah. Like, she's, like, super kind and super nice. Like, never raises her voice.
He was way checked out before then. If he was already,
And he's, like, super just, like, rude and mean to her. And then he'd just be like on his phone all the time, on his
Yeah.
computer all the time, just kind of like hiding away, playing quote unquote video games, like really chatting with some woman.
He was.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was trying to come up with something funny. I couldn't do it. I was trying to find a joke. I'm sorry. I floundered it. I failed.
It was just air that came out.
Yeah. I
And,
failed you
like,
guys. I'm a terrible podcast.
and he
host.
also was like going out late, not telling her where he was all the
Mm.
time, and like being really secretive. And that's what prompted her to like check his messages on Discord
why
or
she
whatever
found
it was, and she found all these messages.
But see, I think that fits into
and then
number
she
3.
sent screenshots to all of her friends and all of his friends.
I'm sorry. Number 1, he has unpredictable mood swings. So like for no reason, he's like, what do you want for dinner? You should already know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, he's already like trying to create distance, I think.
Yeah. It's
So-
mainly creating that distance of like,
Yeah.
I'm going to draw closer to this other person and
Mhm.
create distance between me and you.
Yeah. And that sounds like that's what happened.
Yeah.
I wonder if she hadn't looked through his stuff and found something. I wonder what conclusion she would have came to. Would he have dumped her? Would he have tried to keep it going and do both? I don't know. I'm kind of curious. Like, how would that have ended if she hadn't found it herself?
He's really immature and probably kind of insecure, so he probably would have tried to keep it going for both for
Okay.
a while.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, I say that's fair, but that's not. It's not fair. Okay, cheating's not fair. But
Yeah. She confronted
that
him
makes sense.
packing a gun in the back of her jeans in case he got violent.
Okay. Are you cheating? Yes.
Just in case he raised his hands at her.
You asked a stupid question. Of course I am.
She's a Texan.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Cool.
we
Did she
have-
put on her cowboy
we have
hat
guns.
too? Yeah. That's it. Are y'all cheating?
Yes. Sandy cheeks.
Wish I was back
Oh.
in Texas.
Pecan pie.
All right, let me read this. He asks for more connection. He wants to connect with you more romantically, sexually, or emotionally, and is directly or indirectly asking you for it. This is a good sign because it means he knows something is wrong, either with your relationship or with temptation, and he wants to resolve it before he cheats or before a flirtation becomes an actual affair. This is one of the earliest signs of your man may be thinking of cheating or is feeling guilty about having one. While the behaviors listed above aren't foolproof signs of cheating, a few taken in combination are sure signs that something is up. My advice is that you should be careful not to make accusations or you can't back up, right? But if you suspect he's cheating, sit him down for a long, open talk about your concerns. I just picture one where she's like, I know what you did, but go ahead and tell me, right?
Yeah.
So, that always works on me. I always fall for it. And
You just blurt it out.
and I confessed to something that wasn't even what she was thinking. You know what I mean?
You're like, I was gambling.
Yeah,
I
I'm
went
so
star.
sorry. She's like, "Oh, I thought you just forgot to take out the trash. Tell me more
Yeah.
about that.
She's like, I was just going to tell you to close the kitchen cabinets.
Yeah, for real. So the last paragraph, if that nagging feeling doesn't disappear after your conversation with him, you'll have some choices to make and perhaps some further investigating to begin. So, okay. Here's what I thought when he's asked for more connection. He's overcompensating because he's cheated and he's regretting it. He's feeling guilt. So he's being kinder to you. He's like wants more time with you. He wants to go. Suddenly he's all excited again about you. And that's because he feels guilty and he's like overcompensating for how crappy he's been. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Can you picture that? There's an example that comes to my mind. This isn't confirmed, but do you remember that interview with Tom Cruise that he did with Oprah where he was like, I love, what's her name? Maria Holmes or something?
Oh,
What
Katie
was her-
Holmes.
Katie Holmes,
Yeah,
thank
yeah,
you,
yeah.
sorry. He's like, I love Katie Holmes. He's jumping and he's like, you remember that Oprah interview he did?
I don't think I ever saw that one.
Okay, and he's like running through the audience. And in my mind, I'm picturing, I think he cheated and he's overcompensating right now. is what my mind pictured. Was like, he's going crazy for no reason other than he feels guilty and he wants to profess his love because he just did something wrong. But does that make sense? You know?
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. Like there were times when I was with my really controlling boyfriend where like someone in class at TCC would be like really nice to me. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's hard because you're like, oh, I want to receive and accept this attention from this other person.
Yeah.
Because my needs are like not being met at all. And I feel so drained and like I'm just running on empty all the time.
Yeah.
And it's it's like, you know, it's not like cheating necessarily,
Mm-hmm.
but you're like letting someone in and like allowing yourself to like connect with someone in a way that maybe you shouldn't be letting yourself connect with them.
Yeah.
That's like a super surface level example, just like having conversations with someone in your life
Yeah.
that maybe you're just like enjoying a little bit, you're enjoying their company a little too much, you know?
So the girl I dated before Maddie, there was no one really in between, but she had those weird like she wasn't honest to me about a lot of her plans. Like she didn't tell me this until pretty close to when it was supposed to happen, that she was going to go to school in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But she was stringing me along until that happened, essentially.
Yeah.
So, but there were times that I'm looking back and I was like, she was overcompensating because I think she felt bad about it. I don't know for sure because I haven't talked to her since, and she's like blocked me and everything because she's, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But there were times where she's like, man, I love you so much. I'm committed. I'm so excited for our future. And during that time she's saying that, she's planning her Virginia moving trip to go to college. I'm wondering if that's what it was. Like she's overcompensating by telling me how much she cares about me because she's actively about to screw me over, essentially, emotionally. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Cause I remember
I could be wrong, but
like after, I don't know, times where I would like have conversations with people like in class or whatever, that was like, oh, that guy was really cute and nice. And then like maybe I'd be a little bit nicer to my boyfriend that day.
Okay. See, that's practical application there.
Not that I've ever done that now.
Right.
Because I mean, I love my boyfriend.
Yeah.
He's nothing like my previous boyfriend.
Right. You know what? And
but it arises out of you not getting your needs met, like your needs being at a severe deficit, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. That's a good example. I think that's exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah.
All right. Switching over to behavioral signs of cheating. Number 5, he strays from his predictable everyday behavior. This is what the guy said. My wife knew I was cheating before there was any real evidence. She said she could just tell. After spending time with someone for a number of months or even years, you know their typical behavior. You know how they act in certain situations. When they act differently, you want an explanation. If it's not cheating, then it's something else real and tangible. In this respondent's case, where he started his affair, he would grab his phone and head to the restroom for 20 to 30 minutes.
Oh my God.
That's a bit, okay, I'm sorry.
If that's not an obvious glaring red flag, I don't know what is. I'm just going to be in here secretly with my phone.
Yeah.
So you won't look over my shoulder and see what I'm texting.
The longest, I won't say what I was doing in the bathroom. The longest session I've had in the bathroom when I'm, doing number 2. I'll say it, number 2. That's what I meant. Sorry. I just realized it sounded worse when I worded it that way.
When I'm doing number 2.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
You said it with such confidence.
I'm a little tipsy, that's why. So these beers you brought.
Yeah.
I think by default you're the best co-host I've had because you literally brought me drinks. So thanks.
That's all it takes.
Literally, like nobody's brought beer before on the set. I've had to bribe people to get on here with drinks or food or something.
I brought it for myself because I thought I might be nervous.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to loosen up.
Oh, are you nervous?
Maybe a little bit.
Oh, you hear that, guys? Making her nervous. Sorry, I looked at the wrong camera. I looked at the one
just
facing
stares
you.
off in some random direction. Hear that,
up.
guys?
You hear that, dudes? Schizophrenia.
Yep.
In his respondent's case, I read that part. His excuse was that he was reading his email and the news. I've never read my email for 20 to 30 minutes.
No.
I've watched TikToks or YouTube shorts or YouTube videos, but I mean, 20 to 30 minutes, that's excessive. The longest session I've had for number 2 is like 10 minutes, unless I've got something wrong with me, right?
Right.
So the only
also,
problem.
once you're done going, you don't want to sit on the toilet any
No,
longer.
This might be TMI, but my legs start to go numb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're like, let me get out of here.
Yeah, like I need to actually start
Let
walking.
me get back to my life. Yeah.
So he says the only problem was his phone bill showed a different story entirely. Lots and lots of text messages exchanged with another woman's number. Ooh. Okay, so basically when his behavior differs from the norm, you know what I mean? And he's like, things start to change on him. Like, he's got a routine. I'm a creature of habit and a guy who likes a routine. So if I start kind of straying from it, maybe one time, maybe I'm having a bad day in the bathroom and I need 15 to 20 minutes. Like, sure.
It'd be like that.
Yeah. Thank you. See, she understands.
Sometimes it gets so bad that you start to question, like, Is it possible for human beings to die from pooping?
I don't know. Ask Elvis. Wait, you can't. He died.
I don't think that was the cause.
It wasn't.
I don't think it was like
Oh no! I
from.
hope I didn't defame him from the grave.
He did die in the toilet, but I think it was from like something else.
Okay, other things. Okay, so what was I saying? Yeah. So like you said, sometimes it'd be like that. Every now and then I'm in there longer than 10 minutes. It happens, right?
Sure.
But now it's like a big change from the routine. He's doing that a lot, 20 to 30 minutes.
Oh, I mean, if you're
Yeah.
that, maybe that's like a one-time thing.
Yeah. Sometimes Taco Bell doesn't quite process the way it's supposed to, but
Yeah.
every day, no.
No,
That's not happening.
no.
Yeah.
You'd have to have some serious issues.
Right. So real issues.
Yeah.
So, okay. I mean, have you not, you say you haven't been cheated on, but like, have you not had someone that was hiding something from you and he's like acting weird, out of the norm? Or have you at least seen that from other people, who've had that experience? Anybody tell you a story?
I don't know. There's like things that have happened where like the person I'm dating will like be kind of coy about something, and I'm like, why aren't they just telling me the real reason they don't want to go do this?
Mm-hmm.
And then the reason that comes out is always like pretty innocent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a little bit tougher because like I said, we have not been through what this list is providing for us. But
yeah,
I mean, we can still see, like, we can apply it to stuff. Like the last one, I think you applied pretty good. So, okay, number 6. And then I think that might be the last one because we're out of time for this episode. So next episode, we can finish the list. So number 6, he remembers things you don't, or loses track of details. I'm confused on that one.
he remembers things that you don't,
or loses track of details. So it's either really good at remembering things
or he's forgetting.
Okay, so let me see. So this is what the guy said. I was talking to my wife about a movie we saw and laughing about one of the scenes. She wasn't laughing. I asked, "What? Don't you remember?" She then informed me that we hadn't seen it together. Oh, so he's a dummy. So,
yikes.
as he spends more time with both you and his mistress, the memories of his time spent with her and the memories of his time spent with you will start to blur together.
That is so messy.
That's so wrong, dude.
That's messy.
Schedules get crossed. He won't be able to keep track of where he was on any given day. The time he spent with another woman is entirely unaccounted for, often with no explanation. Okay, that's where I would get screwed up because I'm so bad with just myself and my schedule. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so I mean, shoot, I feel bad now because now it's like, oh, am I are these red flags for myself? You know what I mean? So yeah, no, I couldn't get away with it if I was to try and partake. Because one, I would do this. I'd get both phones that I have mixed up. I'd start texting Maddie from the cheating phone. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or like
the burner phone.
Yeah, or the thing where he's like, remember that movie we watched? And it's like, it's just because
I would totally do that.
Oh yeah, I'd be so bad at it.
I do that to people now. I'm like, you know that thing I was telling you about? My boyfriend's like, what? I'm like, oh, that wasn't you.
Yeah, that was the other guy I'm seeing.
that was my friends from my Monday group.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I'd mess this up. And then time spent with another woman is entirely unaccounted for, often with no explanation. Yeah, that's the other thing too. Is like he doesn't have a real excuse for what he was doing. Because like how long can you, if you take the person you're seeing on the side on a date night, like I mean, what excuse could I come up with to fill in that time slot? Like I was playing games. Like I don't play games that long, 4 hours. I can only do an hour before I have to go do something. I have to edit this show. I have to go read for the group I'm leading. I got some church thing to go to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't hide it. Like, where were you for 4 hours? Cheating. Like,
yeah.
It would just come out,
I don't know. I don't think your first instinct should always be to like jump to cheating.
Mm-hmm.
Even if there are like signs of like them being less sexually inclined, them like maybe not texting you as much, them like maybe misremembering things. Like if your first instinct is to jump to cheating, like there's just so many other things that it could be,
I agree. But
like I would only accuse them of cheating if I really, really thought that it wasn't anything else.
We got a minute left, but like, what do you think would be enough evidence to like, okay, something's up for real? Like, where would you actually, what in your mind, at least right now, with you not having that experience, fingers crossed yet, you know what I mean? But I'm kind of curious though, then what would be enough for you to be like, I need to give this a real question? Anything on the list or anything else that's not on the list yet? Because we haven't gotten there. We're not even halfway through it.
Excuse me. I think it would be like all of those things happening at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there would be like one single sign where I'd be like, oh, because of this one thing, he's cheating.
Yeah, because the way you're talking, you're like, man, it really needs to reach a burden of proof where it's like, okay, look, there's something up.
Because it's like I do so many of the things on that list.
Mm-mm.
I don't always tell my partner where I am or what I'm doing.
Mm.
I like misremember things. I don't know. My boyfriend's libido goes up and down,
Yeah.
Like so
He's a
many of
little bit
these things
different.
can be attributed to like depression or like
Mm.
ADHD or like just like differences in personality or like
Yeah.
different communication styles. Like there's so many things that it could be.
Yeah.
Versus like them having this like horrible character trait,
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a good way to look at it, but you are a rare breed on that because a lot of people jump to the worst conclusions. I do ever so often, so it's not like I'm just crapping on women.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I've done it, but I've never brought it up. I've never been like, "Do you love me anymore?" Like I've never,
Yeah.
I've never actually said it. It might be a passing thought, but I know it's just not true. It's just
Yeah.
not how she is, and it's not how I am. And
Like
that's
I
not,
definitely had that like, do you love me anymore feeling before, but more along the lines of like them losing interest, not
Right.
necessarily that they're like actively doing something
Mhm.
to hurt me.
And you're still talking about on the dating phase. Like, is that
Yeah.
even? Doesn't even sound like someone who's like you've been invested in and talking to for a long time. Are you talking about the current guy, or is that before when you were just like kind of talking sort of to people?
Definitely with the current guy. Sometimes
Okay,
it
that's fair.
feels like, I don't know, like if I'm like overthinking things, or he like hasn't been very verbally affirming lately,
Right.
or like if we only send a couple texts that day and then he like leaves me on red, then I'm like, is our relationship falling apart? It's like, where's the
Yeah.
spark?
And that's natural. That's something just people do. So like, it's not,
Yeah.
you're not like out of the ordinary on that.
No.
What is out of the ordinary is how quickly this episode has gone by.
That is crazy.
I know, isn't that crazy? It's already been an hour, and we're not even halfway through the list. Well, Heather, thanks for hopping on this week. I think we got another episode
Pleasure.
we're going to do. Yeah. Sorry about the technical difficulties, guys. I'm most sorry to our editor, Shaps. I do apologize that this is going to be a hard video to edit because of all
Sorry,
the...
Shaps.
Yeah, for real. You met him, right?
Shaps, are you getting paid for this?
No, he's not. I can
Then
confirm
I'm
that.
extra sorry.
He offered, okay? It was his idea. I was going to do it. And he's like, no, Caleb, you do so much already. You're so cool. I will do it for you. And I was like, are you sure, buddy? And it was raining.
He's
And
like,
it was a full moon, but it was also raining.
He's like, is there
Okay.
anything else you need me to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Kiss your kiss your ring.
You better bleep that out, Shaps. Or you can kiss it. Either one.
You're just the coolest, Caleb.
You better stop. All right, guys. We'll see y'all next time. Thanks for hopping on this week.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys. See y'all next time.